into some of our other policies rather than have a green living plan. Would anybody like to speak to that? I'm fairly sure that's what we agreed at the last meeting. Patrick?
Yeah, I mean, that was my understanding of it, that we resolved that what we would do is to add the climate emergency 2030 as a set of policies around climate emergency, and also there's environmental. I think we've got a whether we put all the environmental policies under that heading is a question for the group as a whole. But the Green Living Plan in Tame has taken on a life of its own, and actually has become obstructive, I think, because it has, it numbers on in the background and isn't really part of the neighbourhood plan. And I feel that we ought to take a grasp on it and make sure that everything that we do is really covered by policies in the neighbourhood plan.
Yeah, okay. Does anybody else want to speak? Okay, we move on from there. Item 10, the industrial land. Jodie.
Okay, thanks. So the local plan sets out that the neighbourhood plan needs to allocate 1 hectare of land for employment. So we're going to be asking ACOM to do some further work on this, as they've done for housing, so they can do that for employment. And I'm in the process of getting that work through to them. And I need to apply to locality for funding for that.
Okay. Yeah, there's very little industrial land come forward. There's only one site that's proposing land on one of their development sites, but other than that, we've heard nothing. So we're going to go down that route to see if there is any more land out there anywhere else. Anybody else want to speak to that? No, okay, fine. Right, the big one, 11, site selection. Myself, Kester, Michelle and Joan spent a good hour and a half, maybe even more, going through each one of these. I'd say in amongst your paperwork, all 159 pages, you will see the reports from ACOM, how they have set their criteria up and how they put forward sites in red, orange and yellow. Not bad for me because I'm colourblind. So we basically looked off on ACOM's report, and we came up with a few sites which you'll find on page 145 and 146 of your report. We've come up with 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 sites that we could give us some housing if we required. Who would like to speak on this first? Patrick.
I was slightly concerned. There are sites on here, great. There's one site in particular I know of, which is now with the Wyvale Centre, which actually has planning permission, I believe now, and yet it's come up in red on here. And what's odd is that this is site 1117, and the site 878. The note here, I think it says makes a comment about 1117 being built on. And I presume that now they got planning permission for residential, they will do that. So I think that may not be an amber site anymore. That might actually be a green. If that site if 1117 is going to be built on. That seems to be the major constraint. And the other one is Thames Farm, because unfortunately we all know that is not only got planning permission, but that's being built at the moment, and yet it appears as a red site on this. I'm slightly confused. It's a slightly confusing document to read through. It doesn't actually give the status of the plots of the sites?
Ken, if you remember on 1117, I think that what we discussed was that it already has got approval, but that there's a change from 40 to 60 units. That's one thing.
That's right.
And to replace business units. And what we thought about was that we might be prepared to consider it if the additional units were social housing.
That's
That
correct.
was what we talked about.
That's correct. Absolutely spot on, Joan. Yeah. So basically what it is, Patrick, they may well come back for, instead of building 40, to build 60.
Yeah.
Right.
And what Joan's saying is providing they're prepared to build social housing, we may well support it.
So that should be sorry, Ken.
Yeah, go on.
So that should really be an amber, shouldn't it, rather than a red, because there's some doubt about whether it would be in the plan or not, depending on what they come forward with.
Well, just because it's in red doesn't mean that we can't support a piece of land there. And the other item, which is there on numerous of these plots of land, it mentions about the emerging local plan policy 116, and it states there that if we have to find numerous houses within the boundary, and we can't find them within the boundary or the built-up boundary of Harpston and Henley, we can then go outside the boundary. So one or two of the sites we've requested to come forward and give a presentation are outside the boundary of Henley. But because of this policy, if this goes through in the 2034 local plan policy, people, developers or landowners could come back against the neighbourhood plan and say, well, why didn't you ask for a presentation with ours? Prime example is the piece between the rugby club and Swiss Farm, which they class the rugby club as the built-up area. But there is this piece of land inside it. One could consider that is infill, but at the moment it's not infill. But this could all change on the local plan. So there is that. There's quite a few notes of mention about 1.16 on a lot of the sites that had come forward. So I'd say if anybody wants to discuss any of these sites that we've come up with, or even add any more, now's the time to speak on them. If anybody sees any reason to withdraw any of these ones, I'd say they're on page 145 and 146 of your agenda. I was going to say Pippa, Kester.
Could we clarify our view on site 14, please, which is misnamed Greenacres, Harpston Woods. It isn't Harpston Woods. It's immediately adjacent to Wyvale on the Reading Road. It's the Surgeon O'Leary's house. But I think we left it doubtful, did we?
Yes, we came with a question mark.
Because of the description that ACOM have given us.
So you're saying it's it's the same side as Thames Farm?
It's the other side of Bolney Lane.
Ken, it's just above Wyvale.
Yes, but
yes,
it's above, and that's a problem, really. If it was nearer Reading Road, I think I would have no doubt about it. But
oh, I've got it.
Yeah, it should actually be called the bungalow site. ACOM have made a mistake there with the site name. They've called it Greenacres, but that's what the landowner's address is rather than the site address. So I'll get ACOM to change that for you.
right.
What's caused it is an infill piece of land now, isn't it?
Yes, it probably is.
Well,
Yeah, Patrick.
and infill is between two existing built-up sites, and actually I don't believe there's a built-up site beyond it. Is there up Bolney Road, Bolney Lane?
No, there isn't anything beyond it. It's adjacent to Bolney Lane. So it's questionable whether it is infill.
And the worrying thing is that if that carries on up Bolney Lane is going to become a major thoroughfare.
Indeed, indeed.
Well, it's up to you people to recommend these sites. Does anybody want?
Yeah, I think I'd like to, if we could withdraw it for the moment, I would think that would be the best thing.
Yeah, do I have a seconder for that?
Yes,
Was that you, David?
yeah.
Okay. Who else would like to speak on that? Okay, right, there's a proposal to withdraw site 14 Greenacres. All in favour of that?
Yes.
1, 2, 3. Okay,
I agree.
That's carried. Any of the other sites? No?
Ken, could you clarify? Chiltern Centre comes up here twice. One of them is the existing site, as does. I'm still slightly puzzled. Sorry about this. A bit dim, but overwhelmed by this. And yet Gillett's doesn't appear on here.
Yeah, the Chiltern End site, as you go into the site, there's a house on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
which was used by the Chiltern Centre. They obviously want to sell that off and develop it, and
Right.
obviously move somewhere else. So it's for 3 houses there. And
Right.
then farther on into the site, you've then got Chiltern's End Old People Home that used to be there. So it's two independent sites there.
Yeah. Okay.
And the other one was,
So that goes beyond the scope of what was originally approved in the previous neighbourhood plan, our current neighbourhood plan.
yeah, this is an additional site for 3 houses. The Chiltern, it's mainly, I think it's called the Chiltern Centre, I think it was called.
Whereas
And it was,
site 991 is the original, that's actually already in the plan. Is it?
no, I think that's the old one. Sorry. Yeah, you're right. So the site 2, the Chiltern Centre, is the new one. And the other one is the old one. Chiltern's End is the old one,
And that's
991.
why we're going to affirm that we do not want a care home on that site.
Exactly, that's the one, yeah. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, Kester.
I'm unclear. The subcommittee voted unanimously against sites 6, 13, 18 and 19. Do we have to vote all over again now in this committee?
No, we're just going
Hector, I
to,
thought we'd said maybe on site 13.
sorry, just go back to Kester first. Just give me the numbers you said again, Kester.
6, 13, 18 and 19.
And I'm just saying that we said no for 3 of those, but that we said maybe for 13.
Yeah, you're right.
No, on 13, Harpston Parish Council is adamant that that would be a bad place. It would extend Thames Farm northwards and shouldn't be considered. It requires a new road and has been voted against by OCC. They don't want a new road there. It would be a most unfortunate precedent.
So would you like to propose it comes out?
I would indeed.
Can I
sorry,
just talk a second?
Yeah, go on, Jodie.
So these recommendations were based on that those criteria the ACOM have produced in that site assessment report, and that's what we discussed at the time. The 11 sites, maybe down to 10 now, will need to go through further site assessment, and we'll be looking at specific Henley criteria for that. So I think at this point, I think it's fine to take these sites forward for further consideration, and then we'll be looking at ruling them down to those that are suitable for allocation.
Right, but if
unless,
you do that, what was the point of the subcommittee?
You carry on, Kester.
Well, I don't see what the point of the subcommittee was. We went through these and we ruled out a number of them. And now we're saying they're in again.
Well,
well,
Kester, Kester, at the end of the day, a subcommittee is what it says, a subcommittee. This
Yes,
is the main working party. And
yes,
then the working party will go towards the planning committee. So eventually our planning committee, maybe yours as well, ours definitely, will make the final decision. So we were only a subcommittee looking at 35 different sites, and that's the number that we wish to move forward. My view, I hear what Jodie's saying, but my view is, if the working party wish to change some of these, I think that's fine, because eventually this will go to Henley Town Council's planning committee. So
well, you see, Harpston frankly object to Henley Planning Committee having a view on land in the middle of Harpston.
but we're not the Henley planning committee at the moment. We're now the working group.
Yes,
So
indeed.
let's sort this one out first, and then we can talk about the Henley planning committee afterwards. Joan.
I'm just pointing out to Kester that we did discuss it at some length, and in the end we decided further consideration. We took the Harpston points and thought probably it would go out in the end, but that we ought to leave it in for further consideration, that it was probably going to go anyway. But that was actually our decision, and we did distinguish between the three sites, and 13 was the one that we said a maybe and further consideration. The other two were definite no's. So we're not in a sense changing anything that the subcommittee decided by having it in as a maybe.
Let's go to Patrick, then I'll come back for you, Kester, if you want to
I mean,
speak.
listening to what Jodie has just said, then I think such matters as the OCT objection to Bolney Lane being developed as a road should be material to that site. And that should be documented so that if we get a developer coming back to us, it's clear why the decision was made. If we just vote on it now and don't allow that evidence to be presented, then we would have a weakness there that they could exploit. I would strongly recommend that all objections are carefully documented and that then we make the decision based on the evidence that's presented to us.
Well, I welcome that, but I mean, Harpston Parish Council wouldn't contemplate sites 18 and 19. It's land that ought to be in the AONB, and it very nearly is. Housing there would spoil the whole view up the valley towards Harpston Wood and along the valley. They're just the very last sites we would want. And site 6, which is the field to the side of Rook Hill and Sheep House Lane, divides Harpston from Henley at that point. One of our objectives in the plan is to keep Henley and Harpston apart. So I don't think 6 can stay. It's clearly out.
Kester, let me stop. We haven't got 6 in here.
6 is a no.
We haven't got 6, we haven't got 18, and we haven't got 19. If you look at page 146 on your agenda,
It's only 13 that there was the question mark on.
yeah, the only questionable one is 13. And I thought we
The
almost
others are
said
all out.
I thought we almost said 13 was an infill site as well.
I think we just said further consideration.
Yeah.
To avoid having objections that we couldn't respond to. But
Exactly.
the others were definitely no's, the other
Yeah.
ones that Kester has raised.
So the only one we got left in, Kester, was 13. So we disregarded the other ones.
I see, in which case, I'm sorry to waste your time.
Good to get it right.
Yeah. We're doing our best for Harpston, believe me. We need your SIL money.
a very worth remembering point. I mean, there's no way we could give SIL money out if we were losing crucial sites in Harpston.
We would never knowingly do that.
Right.
So can we just leave 13 in for the time being?
We take a very strong line against it because...
Okay, right. Make a proposal then, Kester, and I'll see if I can get a seconder for you. Just on site 13.
On site 13, we should recognise its unsuitability as detailed by Harpston Parish Council in their refusal.
Okay. Right, okay, I'll second that, Kester.
Thank you.
Would anybody else like to speak to that? Patrick?
I would prefer to go the road that Judy's suggested. I would vote against that because I feel we do need to amass a decent amount of evidence, because what we've learned is the particular person who owns that site would go to any length, any extreme to make sure that it's included. And I think we have to have a very strong weight of evidence to make sure that it stays out of the plan.
I think what we did say as well, Patrick, that if any of these other sites wish to come forward with a presentation, we would accept that anyway. So although they might not be on our list, they could still ask to do a presentation to the working group.
Yeah.
So they do get a second, but they do get a second bite of the cherry.
In which case, it doesn't matter if we pull it out at the moment because we can make a representation to this.
Exactly.
I'm happy with that.
Okay.
Can I ask a question about site 13? It's Rebecca, because looking at it here, it says it has a development capacity of only 3. And yet looking at it, it looks on the site as though it could take an awful lot more. So are we talking about 3, or are we talking about the possibility of a lot more?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Well, the applicants have asked for 3, but the danger is that it would simply extend Thames Park further up towards the AONB, and it's a dreadful site.
Right.
For housing.
Sorry, site 13 capacity is given as 12.
Oh, because I'm looking here on page 86, site 13, it says development capacity proposed by landowner or SLA is 3.
And the capacity that it's given as is 12, so they could come back for more.
I mean, certainly looking at the picture, it certainly looks as though it would take an awful lot more than 3, unless it was 3.
Well, the 12 might be what it would take.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Anybody else like to speak on this one? Kester, would you like to sum up?
I'm somewhat handicapped in that the page numbers that you quote aren't on my copy, but I'd like to sum up to say that can
I just stop you there? Rebecca?
Yes.
Are you referring to the agenda, or are you referring just to the ACOM original report? Because they both got different...
Oh, right. I'm looking at the ACOM original report, and it's on page 86. So if that's changed, then...
Yeah, the numbers will be different on the agenda.
Oh, right. Okay.
Anyway, we know where we are. That's the main thing. Kester.
We have acknowledged most of the work of the subcommittee in these pages at the end of the agenda.
Yeah.
Harpston reserves its position on site 13 and notes that we've still kept in site 1.
Kester, when you sum up, you can only sum up on items that took place on the debate, and site 1 didn't.
I see. Well, I don't think there's anything more for me to say then.
Okay, that's fine. So all in favour of taking site 13 out of the options? Can you put your right hands up? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's
Yeah, I
carried.
agree.
That's carried. Okay, thank you. Does anybody else wish to speak on any of the other sites? Marvellous. Okay, thank you very much. Next item, item 12, local list heritage sites, which I don't think we've done any work on that today. No, there's no work, but it will be in the future. Item 13, climate emergency 2030. Who would like to speak on that? Patrick first.
Yeah, just briefly to say that I went to on the, when was it? Oh, we had a webinar on the 22nd of April. ACOM and Dan Stone from the Centre for Sustainable Energy, and basically they're saying for this topic, goes to surprise, Frome, Knightsbridge, and Stroud. So, you know, it's all the ones we know.
That's right.
They're the ones that have put policies in. They're the ones that suggest that we copy as best we can and make sure that they're appropriate for Harpston. Something they were pussyfooting around it, but essentially we are completely constrained by the local plan. We can't go beyond the local plan. They finally admitted that really that was not on. But we can bring in evidence for things like the Climate Change Act to support it, but we can't actually include policies that go beyond the local plan. The good news is that the examiner has actually asked that the local plan include policies on climate change, and there's going to be a further consultation on that beyond the consultation that he is currently carrying out. So it's watch this space on the local plan, and we it's a shifting sands really, but I think it's something we ought to get together as a group, and you know, within that the people nominated on that, and I suggest we include Jodie and Kath on that, and perhaps discuss where we're trying to go to with that, and where we collect our evidence from.
Okay. I seem to have lost Jackie.
Yeah, Jackie.
You've had broadband problems, I think.
Yeah, Jackie has a problem in Assendon. Their broadband is not very broad, and so he drops out from time to time.
Okay. And did we lose Sarah in the end as well?
I think
We've had it since the beginning, have we?
Oh,
No.
I'm here. I'm here.
Okay.
Just no picture.
I thought you might have come to Kester's rescue. That was all, Sarah.
He'll tell you my feelings.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's move on to item 8, Oxfordshire Neighbourhood Plans Alliance. Patrick?
Yeah, we're sort of slightly hamstrung by this COVID-19, but we're still planning to hold a webinar. It's being hosted by Oxford Brookes. We've got a very sympathetic planning department there, and that's, I think, going to be in September. I'll keep you posted with the news of that. Otherwise, on the website, there's some interesting stuff with some case studies from around the county. We're just trying to keep going as best we can in the circumstances.
Okay. Anybody like to mention anything on that? No. Okay. Thank you for that, Patrick. Item 9 is the project timeline, which you should have a plan of what we're proposing to do over the next year, or the project, which is one of those. We'll keep you up to date on this, or Jodie will keep us up to date on it. Are we on the timeline at the moment, Jodie?
Yeah, yes.
We haven't got any COVID-19 excuses then?
No, it's taken into account.
Okay. You've all got a copy of the programme anyway.
Yeah, I've got it. I've seen it. I've lost it for the moment.
Okay. If not, we'll send you another one, Jen.
I have got it somewhere.
Okay.
I've got it. Found it.
Item 10, conservation area appraisal. I think the question here, do we need as Henley Town Council to do some work on this, or leave it to SODC in the future? Jodie, do you have a review?
Yeah, so the last one is from 2004, so it's definitely worthwhile getting this reviewed. And I think by speaking to SODC that it would be helpful for them if we were involved with this, so we could work alongside them to produce it. This would be outside of the neighbourhood plan, and we could potentially get funding from Historic England for this as well.
So we take on Michelle and then Kester. Mute.
I agree, it does need to be reviewed. 2004 is quite some time ago, so and if it would help tighten up our planning procedure, planning process, planning decisions, then let's go ahead and do it.
Okay. Kester.
A point of information simply, do you find it a useful lever for getting rid of unattractive development applications?
In that case, let's go for it.
I would say occasionally, yes, Kester. I think we do. We do discuss the conservation sometimes and recommend refusal on applications because of that, because it's in a conservation area. Yeah, I'd say that, yes. Patrick.
This has been discussed within OMPA, and it strongly recommends that parishes and town councils get involved because local councils are not doing it, and that includes Vale as well as South. There is a case study of an appeal that was upheld because the conservation study was out of date, and it's more or less the same age as ours. So it is a worry that that could be used as case evidence, and that we could end up with planning applications that we don't want being appealed because of that.
So we move forward on that then, Jodie. It's some more work for you. I'll keep you employed. And you, Kath.
Could I just say?
Sorry, would anybody like to speak? Sorry.
Yeah, could I just say that members of the Henley Archaeological and Historical Group might well volunteer to help survey the situation for the updated conservation area plan.
That would be very handy, David. Thank you for that. Excellent, thank you.
But the membership doesn't include me, by the way, but I just think they would be interested.
I'm sure we could co-opt you on. Right, item 11, next steps. Jodie, we did talk about policies, topics.
Yeah, so at the last meeting we were looking at starting to produce some policies. So as subgroups we could bring those back and start producing some. We're also going to be inviting those sites that we've discussed to come forward and present to the committee, and so that they're the main two steps. And I'm obviously working on that housing topic paper, so we could bring those topic papers that you were working on previously together as well, and I could review those. That would be really helpful.
You're talking about the one I hadn't complete.
Yeah.
Jodie, sorry, what do you think about the topic papers?
Sorry, what was
we're
that,
working on them. Yeah, sorry, Jane.
Yeah, go on,
Sorry.
Jodie.
Just a question to Jodie, really. Topic papers. So what would you want us to do on the topic papers?
I think it's worth me reviewing and just seeing where they are, and whether I can take them forward, or if I need more from you, then I'll come back to you. Yeah.
You'll come back to me if you need any more.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, because we did send them all to Ricardo at one time, and he added a few remarks, or more than a few remarks. Yeah, and I've still got one to complete. I must apologise. Anything else on that, on next steps?
I think those are the main bits.
Okay, that's marvellous. Next meeting, we discussed earlier and we suggested Monday the 3rd of August. There's an awful lot of work to be done before then. So could I put forward Monday the 3rd of August? We're not sure if anybody will be going to Spain for a holiday by then.
Or will they be
Going to
coming?
Harpston.
Okay, so we'll agree that, sorry, Kester, you're looking at for your diary?
Yes. Yes, Monday the 3rd of August. Okay.
Marvellous. Okay, so we'll agree with that.
Yes.
I've nothing further to add. Thank you all for attending. We did lose Jeff, by the way, at 10 to 4. He had to go. Anything else from you, Jodie or Kath? No? Anybody else? Okay, thank you very much for attending, everybody, and we'll obviously catch up over the next 6 weeks anyway. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Thank
Ken.
you.
Bye.
Yeah, bye there, Rebecca.
Bye.
And who else? David, Jim.
Okay.
Bye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank
Bye
you.
then.
Yeah, bye then.
Thank you. Sorry you had to let me back in so many times.
Okay, that's okay.
Who's
Okay.
that, Jackie?
Yeah, I don't know how many times I was out. I'm going to watch this feedback if it's up on the Henley site.
It's not yet. I've recorded most of the meeting.
Yeah.
I forgot at the beginning.
I didn't mean right now either, but thank